Hello, my lovelies. Today I have a very special edition of Have I Read It? So stay tuned. So for this special edition of Have I Read It? It's going to be Have I Read the First Year? So 3 years ago, I started this whole series of Have I Read It? And when I very first started, it was me reacting to the hauls from 3 years before that. So in August, I will reach my 6-year point on BookTube, or YouTube in general. And I wanted to look back at all my Have I Read It's for that first year, which I'm not going to actually react to that in this video because that would take a really long time because, well, it already did. I've already gone through and looked at all of them and it took me a couple of days. So that's not something I'll react to here because there was a lot of like having to look stuff up and all of that. So I've gone through and rewatched all of my Have I Read It's from the first year, which that year there were only 12 of them. It grows a lot as the time goes on, but of those 12, I went down and I wrote how many total I had unread in that particular video. And then from those unread, I went through them and I was like, okay, what have I read and kept? What have I read and unhauled? And what have I unhauled? And what do I still have left to read? And I still own. And we're going to do kind of a these books will self-destruct type thing here. So out of all of the books that I still own that I have not read from that first year of Have I Read It, I'm going to put them on this shelf. Some of you that have been around here for a while will recognize this shelf as what I was using for my extras in the beginning. I'm going to put all of these that I still own, that I have not read, on this shelf. And I have until this time next year to have read them all. And there's quite a few. But if I haven't, whatever I haven't read by the end of this full 1 year, I have to unhaul them because obviously I've had them for at least 6 years, and I've gone through this on multiple occasions. So if they don't get read in this 1 year, they're gone. Okay, so I'm just going to go through each of these videos with you. So for Have I Read It number 1, I had 6 unread books. Of those 6, I've read and kept 2. I've read and unhauled 2, and I unhauled the other 2. So I don't still own any that I haven't read. That doesn't happen often. So Have I Read It number 2, I had 14 unread. Of those 14, I've read and kept 9 of them. I've read and unhauled 4 of them. But I still have 1 that I have still own and have not read. And that is Before She Ignites by Jody Meadows. And if you've watched my TBR stuff for August, I have put this on my August TBR because there's dragons. And that's one of the things for G's Magical Readathon, to do like the Dragon Writer's license. You have to read 2 dragon books. So I'm going to set that one over here instead of on the shelf because I am actually planning on reading it this month. All right, so for Have I Read It number 3, I had 14 unread. Of those, I read and kept 9. I read and unhauled 4. And I also have 1 that I read, or 1 that I still own and have not read. So just like the month prior. And that is Pieces by G. Benson. And honestly, I don't remember anything at all about this book. The only reason I got it was because of the last name. So yeah, this is going, we'll put it on this shelf down here. Actually, this shelf right down here. And when I got to that point, I was like, oh my gosh, I am doing so good. So that didn't last, because the next month, Have I Read It number 4 was me reacting to my November hauls 3 years before that. And I went like crazy with book shopping, apparently, and Black Friday book shopping and all kinds of stuff. So in my Have I Read It number 4, I had 43 unread books. Yeah. So of those 43, I have 6 that I read and kept. I have 5 that I read and unhauled. I have 16 that I just unhauled. And I have 16 that I have unread. I want to say, since going through and writing all of this down, there are a couple of books that I have actually unhauled. Not a lot, but I'll let you know when I get to those. So even though I said 16 unread, that number is actually smaller, because there's at least one book that I did unhaul. Let's get to these that I still own. There's some big ones. The first one is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. Then I have Revival by Stephen King. Then I have The Corner of Bitter and Sweet by Robin Palmer. The one that I unhauled was This Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl. Then I have The Iron Daughter by Julie Kagawa. Reawakened by Colleen Hook, or Hook. The Merciless by Danielle Vega. So Much Closer by Suzanne Colasanti. The Third Twin by C.J. Amalulu. The Locket by Stacey J. Starters by Lisa Price. Oh, this was another one that I have since unhauled, and that's Soulbound by Heather Brewer. Then I have Jordan's Shadow by T.R. Kupak. Don't Cry by Beverly Barton. Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. And Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. All right. Then for Have I Read It number 5, I had 14 unread. So of those 14, I read and kept 3 of them. I read and unhauled 2 of them. I unhauled 4, and I still own but have not read 5 of them. So the first one is Charade by Lori Foster. Then I have Eve of Darkness, Eve of Destruction, and Eve of Chaos by Sylvia Day. And then I have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hotkin. Fingers crossed all the books will actually fit on this shelf here. Okay, for Have I Read It number 6, I had, again, 14 unread. Of those 14, I read and kept 8 of them. I read and unhauled 1. I just unhauled 3 of them, and I have 2 that are unread. Those 2 are In the Afterlight and Through the Dark by Alexandra Bracken. For Have I Read It number 7, I had 4 unread, and of those 4, I read and kept all 4 of them. For Have I Read It number 8, I had 6 unread. Of those 6, I read and kept 3. I read and unhauled 1, and I have 2 that I still own and have not read. So the first one of those is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and the other is The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. All right, for Have I Read It number 9, I had 11 unread. Of those 11, I read and kept 2 of them. I read and unhauled 2 of them. And I have 7 left unread that I still own. So we have Valiant and Ironside by Holly Black. Story Thieves, The Stolen Chapter by James Riley. Wrecked by Maria Payden. Pacifica by Kristen Simmons. Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. And again, if you have watched my TBRs, you know that This is on my TBR for August, and it works for the buzzword for body part, is heart. I'm going to set that one over here. And then we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer Encyclopedia. Okay, and then Have I Read It number 10. I had 6 unread. Of those 6, I read and kept 3 of them. I read and unhauled 1 of them. I just unhauled 1. And I have 1 left. Oh, I forgot to grab it. Hold on. You know what? I'll add it later because it's in the room where Marty is holding the dogs hostage while I film this. But that is Granted by John David Anderson. I'll get that and put it down here. I must have missed it when I was gathering my books. Okay, so for Have I Read It number 11, I had 9 unread. Of those 9, I read and kept 3 of them. I read and unhauled 2 of them. I unhauled 1. And I have 3 remaining that I have not read. So the first one is The Initiation by Chris Babu. Catching Stars by Kayla Keenan. And A Reaper at the Gates by Sabah Tahir. For my last Have I Read It for that first year, Have I Read It number 12, I had 13 unread. Of those 13, I read and kept 2 of them. I read and unhauled 4 of them. I unhauled 1 of them. And I have 6 remaining that I have not read. So the first one is Sweet Black Waves by Christina Perez. And again, this is on my August TBR. This is actually my Coffee Patron Book Buddy, or Coffee Patron Buddy Read of the month. So I will set that one over there. Then I have The Oracle Year by Charles Soule. Thisbe, Feastoop, and the Black Mountain by Zach Gorman. Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel. Eleanor Affiliate is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. And last but not least, Lifelike by Jay Kristoff. So I only have 1 more that I need to add on here. Okay, so the end results for the Have I Read It year 1. My unread at the very beginning was 154 books. Of those 154, I read and kept 54. I read and unhauled 28. I've unhauled 30. And I have 42 remaining unread. So that means I need to read or unhaul about 3.5 of these per month in order to get through all 42 of them by this time next year. That seems feasible. So I have already these 3 for August, and maybe I'll try to get 4 of these in for September. Are there any books here that you think I should prioritize reading, or are there any that you think should be like at the bottom of my reading list? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!